Hey everybody. Whew. So yeah, I just woke up. I'm doing a Facebook Live with my little microphone here. So maybe the sound will be better. I don't know, we'll see. So anyways, yeah, I wanted to add more about the leaky gut and the malabsorption. Okay. So God, I got look like I just needed more sleep. Jeez. But yeah, so leaky gut and malabsorption. Well, and candida and all that. Well, not only just the fungus that is overabundant does take over just because there is an imbalance, there's no other balancing forces. You also have lactic acid imbalances, which means that, or other fatty acid imbalances. Like, have you ever had heartburn or have you had ulcers? Some people have ulcers. And so they have sores in their stomach. Perforation, I was talking to Charmaine Berry, was asking some questions. And we're going to put a lot of stuff in the book as far as why the J juice is amazing. But you can always Google how bowel perforation happens. It happens with imbalances in the gut, but it's imbalances in the lactic acid, the fatty acid, any of the acids that break down your food when there's an overabundance, and also the overabundance of fungus. And so and also feces. When you have large amounts of feces in your gut and it doesn't really go anywhere, that also contributes to malabsorption and leaky gut, and then also pain. And so yesterday there was a huge debate with myself and Kevin. We were actually debating each other. It was interesting because somebody was asking a question in the group on how to deal with symptoms. And Kevin wasn't under the impression that cravings was a symptom, but it is, because it's not like pain. But craving is like pain. I mean, I was telling you, pain is healing. And some people don't look at cravings as a pain or a symptom, but it is. Cravings is what happens when people have an imbalance. They have a lot of, I would say, maybe fungus. They have a lot of worms, which, okay, fine. It's there for a reason. They have a lot of other imbalances. And so when you have cravings, you are craving something specific for whatever reason. And so, I said, hey, when you have cravings or have addictions, feed your cravings. But some people are strong enough. If they know that the J juice is going to work wonders and all that stuff, they're going to sit with the pain and try not to give in to anything like drugs or feed into their cravings. But, some people don't have, they're not that strong yet. Okay. I mean, of course, if you have prescription drug addictions, yeah, you got to take your prescription drugs. If you have alcohol addiction or other types of drug addictions, you're going to have to do what you have to do to get by, and you keep doing the J juice. Okay. But we try not to give any advice on how to deal with your symptoms, because the whole point of J juice. Now, you guys let me know if it skips or if this is like whatever, or if it doesn't sound good. But the whole point of J juice is to bring up symptoms. So you spent your whole life trying to mitigate symptoms with drugs and alcohol and sex and distractions. And now the whole thing of J juice is to bring them up with the right context. And sometimes you just have to sit with it. Okay, sometimes you just have to be with the pain. But I know some of you have busy lives and you have busy things going on, and I completely understand that. And so you have to then find ways that will be appropriate for you. But I'll tell you what, we have so many different biochemistries out there that there's no possible way that my way that how I handled the healing process is going to be the same for you. I do a lot of different things when I was handling the healing process. Okay. But it's like my way isn't necessarily going to be for you. And then how do I know you're going to, apply it the way that I would apply it? Or so you all will find ways to get the poop out. If you don't want to do waterfalls, you all will find ways to deal with topical issues, internal issues. I mean, we have a few, I would say, what Kevin calls biohacks that's in the book that tells you kind of what to do when you do have certain things that come up. But if you do get pain relief from the J juice, it means you earned it. Okay? I mean, J juice is not something that you use for pain to mitigate pain. No, it does the complete opposite. But if you happen to get pain relief from J juice, it means that you have a very good process that is able to handle it. So, I mean, or you have a superficial wound. Like I had a cut, and so when I stick my finger in the juice, it stings for a minute and then it subsides. Okay? And then it stops and the pain stops because I healed that quickly because, it's a superficial wound. But if I had like a big gash in my leg, well, I mean, it's going to take a minute and it's going to be painful. I mean, yeah, I'll get stitches and get triage done. And then I'm going to pour in the J juice. Yeah, it has salt, it has lactic acid, it has nutrients, it has water. Yeah. But I would rather be in pain and know that it's healing with the right elements than try to take every drug in the book and take all these different anesthetizing things to stop the pain. No, I know. I mean, I knew even as a kid. That's why I never was an alcoholic or a drug addict. Because I knew even when I was a kid, even when I was an adult dealing with stupid 20-year-old learning curve BS, that I just got to sit and cry it out. I just got to sit and just deal with the pain, just cry it out. Don't go turn into the bars and this. And yeah, I did do, drinking a little bit here and there, but it was never a go-to to go and find just a way to where you see some people where that is their go-to, drugs and alcohol and sex and whatever. And so, that's the whole point of J juice, is not to be turning to things that anesthetize you when it comes to pain. Now, in the matrix, yeah, if people aren't feeding their bodies correctly and they're in chronic pain, well, yeah, that's the reason why they have all the drugs and all the different things, to give people some relief because they don't know how to feed their body correctly to where they heal the body to where they never have to deal with that pain again. No, when you have chronic pain in the matrix, it means that the body is desperately trying to heal and then you're not giving it what it needs. So with the J juice, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. But I can't tell you, nobody can tell you in my group how long it's going to be for you to deal with your symptom. And cravings is a symptom. Everything that feels uncomfortable in the matrix and in the J juice is a symptom. And you got to be able to deal with it. And then, yes, there are ways that you can utilize the system. I don't care what you use in the system. Okay? That will help you manage it while you're doing your daily life. Now, I know that we have this question and answer thing that if you want to ask a question and then we'll answer it in the book in some way without it being pertaining to someone specific. I mean, I don't know how many of you are going to ask any questions because when you ask a question, do people know who you are? I don't know. I mean, I guess people could email me too, the questions. But I mean, it's like this. Really, there really isn't anything that, I mean, how would I say this? Kevin's going to put in the book what his biohacks, what he does, okay? And then I'm going to have my take on it that, hey, if it's that bad, go see a doctor. I mean, when you think about it, and then come back to J juice. So it's just a matter of, I know people want support, but I mean, I know Kevin wants to help, but I also know there's a lot of people that understand this too, and that will just deal with the pain. I mean, I want people that are strong enough to do this protocol. Okay? I want people strong enough to do this protocol. I don't want whiners. And Kevin's like, you might be scaring people away, which, he has a valid point. That's right. I do scare people from whining and complaining about the symptoms because that's the whole point of J juice. The whole point of J juice is you bring up the pain, you bring up the symptoms, you bring up the things that are causing you weaknesses your whole life. And if you can't handle it, then you shouldn't be on the juice. Go back in the system, take all your drugs until you pass away. Check out figuratively and then you'll check out literally, down the road. But that's not the point of J juice. So yeah, that's why, he's like, well, I want people to communicate. Well, yeah, when someone has something substantial to say, Okay. And I want substantial testimonies. I don't want someone just bitching and moaning about, oh my God, I have all these symptoms. Yeah, we all had freaking symptoms in the beginning and even during, because you may have past, present, and future triggers that you got to deal with. Okay. But I don't want my group to be a bitch session. Now, I know if someone legitimately needs some support, but they're not asking us how long this is going to be. They just know that this is part of the process and they just need a vent because they have nobody in their world. I get that. It's how you pose what kind of support you ask in the group. And not everybody is very good at posing the right way to ask for support. They want somebody to give them an answer or guarantee something. And no, we can't and won't do that. We're not going to give you a solution to your problem because the J juice brings up said problems. Okay? So we're not going to give you a solution to stop the pain. And that's why we were going back and forth yesterday on Sarah Paez's post because, he wants to help you guys, feel like you can win this and there's ways to do it. And yeah, there is, but doesn't mean that we have the answer. Doesn't mean that Kevin has the answer for your said pain problems. Sometimes, there really isn't an answer. The answers are in the diet, in the J juice. And then if the diet and the J juice don't work for you as far as relieving the pain because you don't want to deal with pain today because you have to go give a presentation, then go see your doctor and go get something stronger. Go get a pharmaceutical grade prescription drug that will stop the pain. I mean, those are the only two options. You deal with the pain, understand how it goes, modify your schedule with the J juice, okay, to where you're not having certain symptoms happen right before you have to give a presentation. Or yeah, if you happen to have something that comes to surface, like a skin condition, okay, well, yeah, that's no different than being sick. You apply what you can to it, do what you got to do, wear long sleeves or something, or stay at home, take up your sick days or vacation days for the healing process. Because I know when you're trying to integrate work and trying to heal, you know what, you might have to take a hiatus from your vacation. If you built up 3 weeks of vacation, that's 3 weeks of healing that you could be doing. Okay? So it's like, how to utilize your time because we're bringing up pain. We're not trying to take it away. So, malabsorption is the imbalance of feces because you have too much lactic acid, and then also too much candida. So, that was what contributes to then all of cancer disease and chronic illness. And Kevin and I are discussing how we're going to word this. I say that the viruses exploit weaknesses, which is true. However, he wants to say that it's data that the body can't handle. Okay, either way, I say exploitation. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to discuss how everything is going to be put out there in the book. So this book that we're doing is not going to be put out there until sometime next year. Okay. Because we are now really trying to make sure that we get both our voices understood. He's going to say it one way, I'm going to say another way, and then we'll find a happy medium. And I don't care really as long as you guys get it, because that's what it comes down to. So, so you're seeing that him and I are just kind of working out how we're going to give support in the group with this new book. Okay. Because right now you guys have the protocol and you have some of the science in the current book, which is a great guide, great reference. We might modify the protocol to where we'll find a way where we can help you guys figure out how to introduce foods back into your diet, because the whole point of the diet is not to have it be indefinite. No. Nobody should be on a diet indefinitely. You should be able to handle every single food in the food supply, every single FDA food. There should be nothing you should be discriminated against. Absolutely nothing. Okay. And so, we may modify and bring in some stuff that will cause you to think. And he's such a very methodical thinker that it's going to, and he's going to write it out. That's the beauty of Kevin, is he's so methodical, and I'm just like, come on, do it, figure it out. Blah, blah. And so that's why there's a back and forth, but that is the yin and yang. That's the balance. I recognize it. So does he. Sometimes I will take what he says into account and consider it and then reverse, whatever my thought process is, because he makes sense. Sometimes I have to kind of hold him back on certain things. Like, no, we're not going to be giving people solutions, but he gets it. There's ways in which we can give solutions without actually speaking to someone's specific condition. We can preemptively write out questions and give you solutions. But I mean, it's been such a while since I started this protocol that I almost forget what it's like in the beginning. But I do remember, the cravings. I do remember, the burning of the ash. I do, because of the lactic acid and the fatty acids being released. I remember some of the stuff. The yeast infections, the UTIs, the hemorrhoids, the constipation, the skin conditions, the headaches. Yeah, I mean, you name it, it's all gonna happen in the beginning. And that's why I say, you guys, if you're gonna get on the protocol, stay on the protocol, because reliving the cravings, reliving the UTIs, reliving the constipation, which you probably shouldn't get constipation unless you're kind of being really conservative with the J juice. Reliving all of the initial healing symptoms sucks. So if you're going to do the J juice, you stay on it, stay on the diet, and then trying to find ways to modify, your lifestyle to be able to handle the J juice and the diet, so you're not always going back to square one. Because I'm telling you, those that start and stop, it's harder because you know what to expect, and it sucks. When you have to deal with the headaches again, when you have to deal with all of the other stuff again in the beginning, the UTIs and the yeast infections that happens, the pain, the headaches, and all that stuff, you got to get past those points. You really do. Okay? And you got to be able to get a handle on when you eat and then you shit, and, at least shit at least once or twice a day, because if you have too much shit in your body, then yeah, it's not only the candida or the yeast that's punching holes in your gut, but it's the excess lactic acid that's also doing that. Okay? So that's why the meat is not, like, except for chicken, because meat is acidic, but it's good on a well-balanced body. But that's why we had the discrimination, because we know that people have highly acidic bodies. And so we try to keep everything as clean as possible, because we know there's imbalances. There's acid imbalances, there's fatty acid imbalances, amino acid imbalance, there's hormonal imbalances, there's mineral imbalances. And so now you're bringing in the J juice to clean your system out. That means that you got to do waterfalls and got to release the excess acid, release the excess minerals, release the excess minerals, prohormones, I guess, release the excess acids, all of that. And then your body will able to then create or manifest the right hormones, and it will repair, the J juice will repair the weaknesses, and then with all the nutrients and then the energizing force, the electrolytes and the water and all of that will then be able to have you create the mucus that you need to line the stomach, to fill in the holes, to give you the protection. And then, and that's the whole point of J juice, is basically hit reset. Because right now, all of you that are aging, you have leaky gut, malabsorption, you have worms, yes, because the worms are composting your shit, okay? And it's causing hormonal imbalances, of which why we then gravitate towards specific industries. And then you also have fatty acid imbalances, you have amino acid imbalances, you have mineral imbalances. And yes, the whole point of J juice is to balance out your body, okay? When you come to the standpoint of the four things, the fatty acids, the amino acids, the prohormones, and the minerals, and you have imbalances in all four of those things, it would be prudent that you be conservative in your diet. Try to stick to the diet, but we know that people have addictions and it's a transition process. Sugar isn't the enemy, but we also know that you have to bring in other elements to balance out the sugars and balance out the candida. And so, I know Kevin and I are going to be modifying the protocol, so that way, we know people have imbalances, and we know people are going to have, sugar addictions, and not even just carb stuff. We may, so we're going to modify it in such a way where, if you need to introduce foods now, and then you see, let's say in a month or two, just to see, and then you start getting mucus. I mean, that's the thing is how do you How do you introduce foods and how do you read your body to see where you are? And that's really the main thing because every biochemistry is different. Every single some people can reintroduce foods, sooner than other people. Other people need to wait because let's say they have a food allergy. Okay, yeah, when you eat acidy foods and you have a lactic acid, fatty acid imbalance, and then you have gout, yeah, eating, a steak is not going to be good. That's why the steak industry is getting such a bad rap because we have so many imbalanced bodies out there that they can't afford to eat more an acidic type of food. But someone like me, I could eat a steak and be great and feel amazing and get the best, benefit because guess what? I have a balanced body. I'm looking at this next Thanksgiving. Remember last Thanksgiving, I ate the most all of the food. I ate so much food last year. My body was able to process it, and I'm still skinny. I'm still very efficient in everything. And guess what? I'm going to go into this next Thanksgiving. And I'm going to eat a shit ton of food, and I'll be fine. I'm not going to have any imbalances. I'm not going to be, discriminate against anything. And that's what it comes down to is when you can lead a lifestyle that's non-discriminatory. And then you don't have to then go and nurse all of your wounds from the past anymore because that has healed. So bringing in the J juice while you are trying to manage your past, present, and future issues is really, I'm seriously, for those of you that are, that are doing psychotherapy and therapy, any therapy with the J juice is wonderful because when someone has things come to surface, like past issues, okay, they're going to need someone like you guys that are certified and licensed to handle these emotions, to handle the deluge of just feelings from the past, and then help them process it, and then do the J juice and waterfall that shit right out of your system, and then talk to someone where it can come out of the system, and then you'll be able to process. Because there's people that are drug addicts that have been on psychedelic drugs and then they got into rehab and now they want to heal their body from that, 5 years on being on meth. Can you imagine someone 5 years on meth and they're clean for like 10 years and they do the J juice and then, oh my God, they're going to revisit those meth days as far as what it felt like to be on meth. Okay. Or any kind of psychedelic or any kind of, someone is an alcoholic and they do the J juice. Imagine what it's going to be like for them to be on the J juice, trying to bring that shit to surface. Oh my God. Okay. So that's why sometimes if you had heavy addictions in the past, you may want to make sure that you have a professional. So this is for Charmaine, there's so many ways of which, we can help people who have these type of addictions and also get their biochemistry correct with the right elements and then support them while they are purging. Because it's not just, waterfall purging. It's also emotional healing. That's one of the biggest things in which you've mentioned, Charmaine, about cancer, that, sexual abuse victims, yeah, they definitely, get cancer in the areas that they were abused, as well as the porn industry. People in the porn industry, they die from different STD cancers and they have weaknesses in those areas. See, any type of trauma to the body, I don't care what it is, whether it's emotional, it's body, mind, and spirit trauma to the body, it has to be healed. And some have an inordinate amount of trauma to their spirit. Some have an inordinate amount of trauma to their body and their mind. And some, all three. And then that's where, some people need to have support from the allopathic, not so much the holistic, but the allopathic system to help them process it and heal along with the right elements. Okay. So yeah, when you have malabsorption from imbalances and then you're sustaining trauma because you now are open to viruses, they're not necessarily bad, but viruses are data that if you can't handle the data, you're going to succumb under that pressure of data. And so, yes, when you have weaknesses, this is why people get breast cancer, because they have weaknesses in their breast. When someone gets uterine cancer, cervical cancer, ovarian cancer, there's weaknesses in their reproductive system. Okay. So, cancer is more of a reflection of the weaknesses in your body more than anything else. And so obviously when cancer is all over the US and the world, we have weak people in the world. Okay? And so when somebody is going through their chemotherapy and morphine and painkillers and fentanyl, and they have a week where they're not in pain, but they haven't healed, it doesn't mean that you're healed. It means that the cancer is regrouping. Okay. I mean, when the pain stops because of all the different drugs, yeah. So, anyways, this is where, you got to embrace the pain, but learn how to process it too. Sometimes you have to sit with it, do the J juice. Um, there's ways of which, yes, we can help our friends and our clients be able to process these emotions without undermining the healing process. And that's one of the biggest things that, people have to figure out when they do help people in their industry and they're doing the J juice, that their therapies aren't going to undermine the healing process. And so and then that's no different than somebody that's doing it on their own without any kind of professional help. Are their drugs and their cannabis and their lifestyle, is it going to undermine the healing process? How do you balance it all out? And so it's just a matter of knowing that you need to have more of the pain, more of the J juice over all of the painkillers and distractions. So that way you can actually heal. Okay. And that's going to be one of the biggest hurdles for a lot of people who are so used to distracting themselves to death. Okay. So anyways, hopefully this transmission came through better. And at some point, I will have a system, an iRig system, to have better Facebook lives. And I'm going to ask my husband to set me up when he's in that mode. Right now, he's in his own mode right now, which he needs to be. But I definitely do want to get like an iRig system. I do want to get like a microphone and to have a better sound quality, with my Facebook lives. So there isn't skipping and it sounds like a CB radio. That's what I really want. So I'm going to hit up my husband to set me up correctly, because I definitely, want to make sure that this information does get out. This information does, it does help you guys understand that pain is not something you run away from. You have to manage it so that way you can do your life, but it's not supposed to be something that you just mitigate. Because the whole point of J Juice is to bring up the pain, deal with it, but also do your life. And how do you balance out your life and healing and dealing with the pain? And it's going to be different for everybody. But as long as you know that pain is supposed to happen, the cravings are supposed to happen, there really isn't a solution that I can give you for any of your pain, because the whole point is not just have a solution for your pain. The whole point is to heal. Okay, so you never have to deal with the pain again. That's the whole point of the J juice, is you bring up the pain, you deal with it, and you never deal with it ever again. Okay, so when people look for solutions, when people look for solutions for their pain in the group, it means that they don't understand it. And then I come unglued. And then I'm like, no, we're not giving solutions. No, we're not going to have 50 freaking lines of everybody giving their rendition of a solution. Okay. I mean, that's not what we're doing, but that's the holistic allopathic way, is you have probably millions and millions of solutions. And what is that person going to do? Pick, that whole eeny, meeny, miny, mo BS? No. Okay. No, the thing is to bring up the pain and then try to not have a solution for your pain. You just deal with it until you heal. And then you never see it again. How do you know if you healed if you keep anesthetizing yourself with drugs? See, that's the whole point of J Juice, is when you keep anesthetizing yourself, when you keep bringing up a solution for your pain, how do you know you healed? And so that's why you have to stay with the pain and not utilize too many drugs or too many distractions. So that way, when you finally when the pain stops, it's not because of the drug. It's not because of the distraction. It's not because of the therapy. It's not because of anything that you have taken from somebody else's solution. Now you healed because it stopped. And not because of the drug. It's because your body finally was able to heal. And that's the whole point of J juice is so that way you know that you healed because you're not distracted by the drugs and the sex and the alcohol and everything else. Okay? That's why I come unglued in the group when people ask for solutions for their cravings and for all that stuff, because it shows me that you don't understand, and I have to make you understand. And then Kevin's kind of like, sweetheart guy, but I don't want him to undermine your progress because he wants to help you, because he doesn't want to scare you. But I'm sorry, I'd rather scare people away that want to have a solution for every problem. Okay, when you think about it, then somebody says, I'm going to sit with the pain. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to pose this testimony, or not testimony. And someone wants support. They're like, hey, I know I've been dealing with all these different symptoms from past, present, and future, and I just need a place to rant. I need a place to just say, hey, it sucks that I'm going through this, but I know I have to. If I apply too many solutions to my pain, I'm not going to know I heal. I mean, that's the kind of like venting I want from somebody in the group to get support. So that way you're not only asking for support in the group, you're not just taking people's emotions and just dumping on them, but you're also giving something to the group. You're giving people knowledge in the group. You're giving them saying, hey, you know what? You're going to have to go through all of these different pains. And if you start, finding painkillers and distractions to your pain, how do you know you've healed? Okay, because the J juice is giving you all of the factors that will aid in your healing process. But if you find a solution for the pain to stop the pain, then how do you know you've healed? Okay, and so that's why I'm saying these people that are doing the chemotherapy and then they're in so much pain and then they're wanting to take morphine and taking all this stuff, and then they think that they have no pain, that means you're healed. No, I mean, you have aged yourself 20 years on chemotherapy. You're taking morphine, you're taking all these different painkillers, and then you're like saying, yay, I'm in no more pain. Oh my God, that's like a red flag when you're not in pain after taking all those drugs. You just stop the healing process, and then now you are now closer to mortality. And I just have to shake my head because I'm seeing all their friends going like, yeah, No, I mean, part of the healing process is facing the pain and dealing with it, but in the right context, not that you hurt yourself and now you sit bleeding. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when you take the J juice, which has been substantiated out there, it's basically fermented cabbage juice. Okay? And it's not poisonous. I sent it into a food lab. It has 13 million colony-forming units of lactic acid, which is your body needs, and it also has electrolytes, and it also has nutrients from the cabbage and kale, and it has water. It's not poisonous, so if it brings up pain, it means you're supposed to be in pain. If you're not in pain drinking J juice, then either you did it wrong or you're doing such a little tiny amount that it's going to be insignificant. Why even fucking do it, right? So if you're doing J juice and you're in pain, it means that the body is supposed to heal. Because we already substantiated every single ingredient in the J juice. It's not poisonous. All of the symptoms out there, when people get strokes out there and they survive them, it means they have enough minerals in their body to be able to handle that symptom. Why that lady on Dr. Phil survived her stroke that she said she got on J juice is because that the J juice had the mineral supply enough to allow her to survive her symptoms. If she would stay on J juice, she could have healed her cardiovascular system, her neurological system, okay? And then she would never have to deal with strokes ever again. But the fact that she had a stroke and she wanted to blame J juice, it was already a predisposition she already had. But the fact that she survived it is a testament to J juice. Okay, the fact that anybody survives heart attacks and strokes and all these things is because they have enough mineral reserves in their body to be able to handle those symptoms. But when people don't survive the strokes and don't survive their heart attacks or don't survive, or die, it's because they don't have enough minerals anymore to be able to keep their vital organs going. So if you survived any of those major symptoms, strokes and heart attacks and whatever else, then it means you have enough insurance in your body to keep you going. But you know what? You're on your reserves. You are on your last little tank of gas. And it's a question on how hard you hit that gas pedal before you actually run out of gas and then your vital organs shut down. So the J juice gave that woman on Dr. Phil an insurance policy enough to bitch about J juice, which, okay, fine. But right there is substantiation. She had enough strength, even though she had to go and dramatize it with coming in with a wheelchair, but she had enough strength to go and bitch about J juice. It probably saved her life. But she'll never say that. Because remember, people think in the system, symptoms are bad, pain is bad. They need to go and anesthetize themselves until they're out of existence. No. So anyways, so yeah, the J juice is meant for you to deal with the pain, and you just have to figure out how to manage it correctly to where you're not undermining yourself. And then you will see then the reversal. You will see reversing in the aging process. Okay? Nobody wants to die today. But nobody wants to die tomorrow either. So if you don't want to die, then why would you apply things that are causing your death? Your slow death or your fast. And you don't even know how slow or fast your death is because you don't know how many mineral reserves you have. Some people are on their last, some people die at 45, 44. They die of a stroke or heart attack because they thought they had enough mineral reserves, but they weren't thinking in that way. They just were like, patching themselves up with different therapies and drugs and whatever, and food. And then when they do get a heart attack, the body, doesn't have enough mineral reserves to help them out. And then they stroke out or they die of a heart attack. Okay. At 44 years old. All right. So, stop playing Russian roulette, you guys, especially now that every generation is weaker and weaker. I feel bad for the kids nowadays because they're now, they have been reproduced on weaker bodies, which means that it means that, nothing's off the table for them. That any kind of symptom they have is going to be scary for the parents because they may not survive, the cancer or the heart attacks. I mean, there's one girl that, she survived chemotherapy and the cancer at stage 3 cancer, ovarian cancer. She's like 8 years old. How does an 8-year-old get ovarian cancer? Because she already had a sustained weakness from her predecessors, from her mother. Okay. And the reason why she survived the chemotherapy is because she had enough mineral reserves, thank God, to handle that aggressive therapy. But now she has a sustained weakness that she, and I'm sure her lifestyle is not going to support to where she'll be able to refill those mineral reserves that's missing from that chemotherapy. So she's going to be working on a very weak body. And then who's to say how that cancer is going to regroup down the road when she already has sustained weaknesses. So anyone that gets cancer at 8 years old is going to be now living in a bubble from that point forward. Because when you see somebody that's like 45 years old going through chemotherapy, imagine an 8-year-old going through chemotherapy and cancer. Oh my God. And then they survive it. Oh my God, what's going to be next? It's only a matter of time. And that's what's scary. When kids are getting cancer and chemotherapy at 8 years old, that future is going to be hazy at best. They'll do the best they can to manage with their different conditions, but it's going to be a crapshoot. And that's the scary thing on this next generation. Because the adults of this generation have not resolved their weaknesses. And then they keep having children. And this is what happens. Which is then everyone's going to be having conditions, exotic diseases. Okay. So, I would rather have people on the protocol that understand it and bring up the pain, but not look for the solutions for the pain. And so, yeah, the group is rather silent. I think a few people will share their articulate testimonies on what they're doing. A few. And then you'll know the ones that don't understand J juice because they want someone to give them a solution on the symptoms. And then I'm coming out of the woodwork one like, nope. Okay. So there is a method behind my madness. There is a method of why it is I come down hard, why it is I'm so very vigilant on not buying into people's whiny stories about how they can't handle the symptoms. If you can handle the symptoms, then get off of J juice. But the whole point of doing J juice is to heal and seal and deal with the pain, deal with the symptoms until you actually heal. And then you don't disguise it with drugs, alcohol, and food. Okay? Because food is not supposed to be an anesthetizing thing. Food is food. Food keeps you alive. It's not supposed to be a remedy. Okay? There are no remedies on J juice. There are ways to manage the healing process, but there are no remedies on J juice. So that's why I come out from the woodwork when somebody is asking a question about how to deal with a symptom, is because you're supposed to have symptoms. You deal with it. That's the whole point of J juice. Okay? But then people need to go and live their lives and need to go on a plane and need to do this or need to get to work and need to do that or need to go to sleep. So you'll find a way to deal with how to get to sleep. You will find a way how to manage, your skin condition as you go to work. It's not something that you're going to ask us what you should do, because what I've done during the healing process is not necessarily what you all want to do. I talked about sticking my finger in my butt and pulling the poop out when I was constipated, but you think you guys want to do that? No. Right? So what I do is not necessarily appropriate for what you guys want to do. So you guys will all figure out a way, okay, to deal with the healing process. But you're not supposed to take away the pain, take away the cravings. No. Because sometimes there isn't a remedy for the things that need to heal. Sometimes there isn't a remedy, and we shouldn't be looking for a remedy, because if you're looking for a remedy, then you don't get the J juice. There are no remedies on J juice. Pain and symptoms are part of the process, which is why this gets so misunderstood, because our society is so dead set on trying to stop pain, trying to stop symptoms, trying to stop the healing process. Okay? And, if you can just sit with the pain, if you have the latitude to do that, do it. Because how do you know, this is for Kevin, how do you know you've healed if you keep anesthetizing yourself with food and drugs and whatever? I'm not saying that you do that, but this is the mentality you have to come from. How do you know you've healed if you keep trying to anesthetize yourself? Okay? So when you deal with the pain, and let's say you have the cravings, and you just deal with it, you don't try to, alleviate your cravings, you just deal with it. And then one day you drink the J juice at 5 o'clock at night and you don't get the cravings anymore. You're like, holy shit, I just won. I finally healed. See, that is when you know how to read your body. When you're able to sit with the pain, sit with the craving, sit with whatever, and you still do the J juice, because you know that if you keep doing the J juice and you keep bringing up the cravings and the pain and whatever it is, eventually it's going to disappear. But you got to just sit with it and you got to face it. You got to face that demon. And when you face that demon, and one day that, and you sit and stay strong, you don't, give in to whatever it is that it's trying to get you to do, then one day that demon is going to then disappear. That's what we're looking for people, is to finally face their demons without turning to remedies. Now, yes, biohacks are great for people who have to go to work. Biohacks are great for people that have to go do things in their life, like pick up their kids or take care of their husband or run their life the way they need to run it. But biohacks are not supposed to be anything to take in the place in lieu of pain and symptoms, because that's where it can get abused, and then people don't know if they're healing, if they're always biohacking their body or finding a remedy for their body. Okay? So we have to put the biohacks and remedies in its proper place. It's not supposed to mitigate all pain and all symptoms. Okay? People need to face the pain, need to face the symptoms. But there are times where people cannot, they don't have time to do that because they have to go do this presentation. So what would be a great biohack when you have to go from point A to point B and then get home? That's how we need to then characterize biohacks, and that's how we have to put that in its proper place. So that's why I was getting, a little bit like, oh my God, because I wasn't articulating very well why it is that I come off harsh. Oh yeah, I come off harsh. I would rather chase away 50 people who are whining about their symptoms than bring in 5 or 10 people that really know what the hell's going on. It's going to be an amazing test, but it's going to stay with the J juice, give people an amazing, background, and then give them hope that they actually can do this protocol. But when you have 50 people whining about their symptoms and 10 people who kind of give you a really good, testimony, you get lost in the 50 whiners, then you see the actual articulate people. So I would rather have 300 people who are very articulate than 560,000 people who are whining about all their symptoms. Sometimes quality is better than quantity. That's how I look at it. It's quality over quantity. Because those quality people are going to then be the effective communicators about J-Juice. And I want effective communicators about J-Juice. I don't want whiners. I don't want people bitching about how they hate this juice and how they hate the symptoms, because they can do that in the system. But when you're on J-Juice, you know you're going to have to deal with the pain. I've been saying pain is healing. I mean, Dr. Phil even said, oh my God, I mean, if anybody doesn't know that pain is healing coming into this protocol, then you are under a rock. When you see so much crap on the internet, how Jillian's killing people and Jillian's doing this, and I had all this pain and all these symptoms, I mean, it's already there and it's in the book. The potentials of the what you're going to experience on J-Juice, the healing symptoms, we have it listed out. Lillian gathered all that information in the 60,000 person group and put it in and gave it to me, and I put it in the book in a table. And it said, here's a list of healing symptoms. So, I mean, this should be no surprise. And cravings is one of those healing symptoms. Okay? So sometimes you just got to sit with it. If you have the latitude to sit with the pain, do it. If you don't have the latitude because you have to go to work, then that's when the biohacks come into play. And that's where it's appropriate for Kevin to have the biohacks. And if those biohacks don't work, then you go see a doctor. But we're not going to go from biohack to holistic industry, then the doctor. No, we're going to cut out the holistic industry and say either Kevin's biohacks or a professional. So you can get your pharmaceutical grade drugs and do what you got to do to anesthetize yourself so you can go and give that presentation and then come home and heal. And now drink the J-Juice to get rid of the excess minerals from that drug and then finally heal and deal with the healing process. Okay? But sometimes it's hard for me to articulate because I don't know why. I get triggered sometimes because I know intuitively something is wrong here, but I can't really articulate it. So when you guys see me freak the hell out, especially when it comes to quote unquote supporting people in my group by giving in to giving them a solution. Yeah, I know something's wrong there, but I didn't know how to articulate it well. I try to, but Kevin has his way, I have my way. And how do you have a happy medium? Where can we find a happy medium where people can get the support when they need it? And that's what was missing is there an appropriate place for biohacks? Yes, there is, but not in lieu of the pain. Okay? Not in lieu of the healing process. And that's what I failed to communicate yesterday, which is why we were going back and forth. But it needed to happen. Okay? So, but that's like with any team, you have to figure out your communication and just sit with it. I mean, we sat with it. We were on the Skype for over an hour trying to figure out, resolve this because, he's yin, I'm yang, and we're trying to balance each other out. And, it's difficult sometimes because when you don't know how to communicate very well, certain ideas, because it hasn't been fully processed, then it just comes off as some, out of control emotion. And really, that's not it. Every emotion out there comes from a place where somebody can't articulate very well. And so emotions are, unsaid communication, which I think is like duh, but no, really, when someone is getting triggered or they have to leave a conversation, they don't know how to communicate really what's going on, so they emote because emotions are easier to communicate than actually articulating in the right words. Because sometimes you don't even know why it is, but once you actually process it and go through it, then you're able to articulate it. But it does take somebody actually having to go through it. And it took me right now about an hour to articulate why it is. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. Okay. So yeah, so there's a place and a time for biohacks, but not in lieu of the pain. And that's what it all comes down to. All right, I'm gonna go do my thing. But you guys, yeah, hopefully this you guys can hear me well, right, with this microphone, this earpiece. But anyways, I will re-listen to this and hopefully it doesn't skip or sound horrible. Okay, I will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.